Welcome to Hockey Night in New York, where Islanders hockey always reigns supreme. Whether you were raised at the barn in Uniondale or born in the stable at Belmont, Hockey Night in New York is your home for all things Isles. Now, let's drop the puck and get this party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Hockey Night in New York, and welcome to a very special edition of the show presented by Blue Line Deli and Bagels and sponsored by Lost Farmer Brewing Company as well as Main Street Board Game Cafe. Got a special little show here coming up for you tonight. My name is Sean Cuthbert. With me tonight is Stefen Rosner. And welcoming onto the show tonight is Chris Terry, formerly of the Bridgeport Islanders and now of the Chicago Wolves. Chris, thanks so much for giving us some time tonight. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, wanted to jump right in and talk about your experience with the Islanders organization. You were with them for the last 2 years. Maybe we can just start by, letting us know what it was like playing for the Islanders and that whole experience.
Well, it was a great experience. I think the way we were treated in Bridgeport for the 2 years I was there was first class. We were given every resource we were needed. They redid the locker room, I think, right before I came 2 years ago. So they have a world-class locker room, probably comparable to close to an NHL room. They went above and beyond, especially the first year was kind of the end of COVID. So, they probably spent money that they weren't required to, but to ensure that, the safety of not only the players, but our families and everyone was taken care of. So, I enjoyed my time with Bridgeport. Was treated fantastically.
Yeah, Chris, thanks again for coming on. You spent time with the Hurricanes organization and the Canadiens. Was there anything unique about the Islanders organization?
I think every organization has a little bit of uniqueness. I think everybody, it's kind of all blends into one general sense of how hockey teams run, but when you break down like a day-to-day or, the way things are run versus the NHL or the AHL within the organization, they vary a little bit, but I don't think it was really anything specific that really stands out that they did differently or in a negative or positive way. I think it was, we were treated always like every guy was just as important as the next, and I think that went a long way.
Sounds great, Chris. And you had a career year last season in the AHL, putting up 78 points at the ripe young age of 34, which is very impressive. I mean, I'm 40. That's pretty awesome. but what can you attribute to, you've been around the ice for a long time here. You had some time in the NHL, and here you are coming off your best season in the AHL. Is there anything you can attribute to that, to why you had such a great season?
I'm not sure it's one specific thing. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. That you look at Andy Andreff, who I played with for basically 2 years as my centerman, leads the entire league in goals. Real special year for him. And I think the chemistry there, it goes a long way when you have the familiarity to play with a guy night in, night out, and kind of just understand where he's going to be without really even having to think about it. So that kind of goes a long way. I think the opportunity that Brent Thompson and the coaching staff, gave me with last year with, probably more ice time than I've had in a long time and just more responsibility. I think, the more times you're on the ice, the longer you're on the ice, hopefully good things are going to happen. But, I think our team as well, you play with one guy for the majority of the year, but there's times when lines get switched up based on, how the team's doing. So I think, every guy on that team helped me a lot this year. Whether I played directly or indirectly with them, I think, that I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed coming to the rink. My teammates were a lot of fun to be around. The group of guys I got along with really well. We bonded really well off the ice, and I think, when that happens, it's a fun environment to be around, and obviously led to good things on the ice this year personally.
You had a handful of young players come to Bridgeport. Is there a different approach as a veteran leader on an AHL squad when you have these young kids coming in that are now adapting to the pro game?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I know where I'm at in my career, and, I was on an AHL contract, so being called up wasn't even in the realm. And I think that, works to my favor to be able to, kind of talk to those guys, and, I'm not really a threat to be called up to them. So I want to see them be called up. I want to see them do well. And I think it's, you just take an approach of, as an organization, you're a whole, you want to see those guys do well at this level, and primarily probably down the road in the future.
Right on, Chris. And what can you tell us about Rick Kowalsky now that he's taken over the head coaching job with Bridgeport, with Brent Thompson taking the job over in Anaheim? Maybe you can talk a little bit about his coaching style, maybe even, how he worked hand in hand with Brent Thompson when they were on the show together.
Yeah, Rick's a great coach. I really, really enjoyed working with Rick. He ran the power play for my 2 years there, and we talked a lot about, obviously, the power play a lot. And I really like his mind as a coach. I think he has a lot of creativity to his coaching style, but the way he thinks the game, and I think wants to, his teams to play it. So we connected on numerous levels in that sense. And I think, him and Brent got along great. I think they have two different coaching styles, with, Brent being, maybe a more, can be a little more harder on the guys, which goes a long way, I think, too, that is needed. And Rick has some skill aspect, I guess, to his coaching style that they kind of blended really well together. And I really loved playing for both those guys. They were a treat. And I think Rick, with this year's team, I don't know exactly who will be there, but in what I think his coaching style will be, just having him as an assistant, I think it'll be an up-tempo team that plays with puck possession. He thinks the game very, very well. I think he sees it from a systems standpoint that, he'll transition the game fast. He'll want the puck out of the zone or move to the forwards as fast as possible. And I think you'll see a 5-man offense in the O-zone, just with, his, like I said, his creativity to see the offensive side of the game, I think.
Well, I'm sure fans will love to hear that. So you mentioned that Thompson might have been a little harder on the guys. Did they have like a little good cop, bad cop dynamic going on between the two of them, or?
I don't think they meant to. If they did, but maybe it came off a couple times. I think Tomer was an excellent coach in the fact that you played hard. He respected that, and he would. You were in his good book. So, if you put the effort in, he understood that things weren't always going to go our way or your way as a player. But if your work ethic and your effort was there every night, I think you had his respect. And I really enjoyed playing for him. I got along really well with him as well.
I wanted to ask you about two prospects. We'll talk with William Dufour first. What did you see from him in his first year in the AHL?
Going to be a special player, obviously, has an elite shot. I think he's, a pure goal scorer. I think he has the ability to kind of score from anywhere in the zone because of that shot he has. And I think the progression he made in the first year, it can be hard to come from junior and, be a high point guy. And the AHL is not an easy league, and I think his strides that he took from game one till the end were tremendous. I think he understood he had to play away from the puck in order to get the puck, and I think you saw his game kind of round into form as a whole as the season went along. And I mean, I think everyone understands and knows what he's going to do as a goal scorer. So we saw that throughout the year for sure. That never wavered.
And yeah, he got an NHL game, obviously, against Boston. It didn't go his way. It didn't go the Islanders' way at all. But, as a veteran in the AHL, when he gets sent back down, is that a moment where you go or one of the veterans go and just talk to him about, hey, obviously that was a tough situation, just to boost his confidence a little bit?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think, we all were excited when he got called up and made sure, he knew that we were happy for him and congratulated him. And your first game's a special game. And obviously we all dream of how it goes perfectly, scoring the game winning goal. But reality is that doesn't happen. And, I think there's just enough noise at that point for him that, I don't think much needed to be said. I think a lot was already probably said to him or speculated, or, there's the social media world we live in. I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to look to see what was already being said. So
Right.
we just welcomed him back, knew how important he was for us, and, just continue to be an important piece for us down there.
Yeah, so a lot of young guys get a chance last year. Ruslan Iskhakov didn't get a chance, but he was an all-star. What do you make of his game?
Rusty's a great player. We played a lot together throughout the year at different times, and one of the most skilled players I probably ever played with in the American League. He can do things with the puck that other guys can't, and obviously he's on the smaller side, but I think that works to his advantage. And center of gravity is low to the ice. He's really good on his edges, so his puck protection is obviously a strength of his game, and the ability to hold on to it. Got off to a blazing start, was really taking the league by storm, and but finished strong, and he didn't get called up. I understand that, but I wouldn't be worried. I think he's a special player that will be a really good player for the Islanders. Kind of like Dufour. It's not easy to your first year to play in the American League, do as well as those guys did, and his time in the NHL will come. I have no doubt about it.
Chris, Matthew Maggio is another player who Islander fans are starting to get a little excited about with the performance that he's been having. He got a few games in there at Bridgeport. Was there anything about his game that might have stood out in that short time he was there?
Yeah, he was only there for a couple games. Tough to really give a true assessment of him. Obviously, he had career numbers in the OHL with Windsor and was a captain there. So obviously has leadership abilities. Can score, can make plays. I think, one thing I did notice that he had no trouble playing to the speed of the game. The few games he did play, I thought, he fit right in, had no trouble there. And, he made a few plays, but like I said, it's pretty small sample size to really give you an accurate answer. But, obviously with the junior career he had, obviously going to probably be a special player for Bridgeport next year.
Wanted to ask you about Corey Schneider. You got to play with him for 2 years. What was it like to have him down there with you guys?
Well, incredible. Schneider is awesome. Being an older guy with that much NHL experience was invaluable, I think, not only for, probably Skarek, being his partner, but as a team. He was a real strong influence and strong leader on our team. When things needed to be said, he was the first one to stand up, and I learned a lot from him, created a great friendship with him, and I'm really happy I got that opportunity to play with him for 2 years.
When you guys got to see him get called up and play in that game against the Devils, what was that like to see him get back to the NHL after, dealing with all the injuries he dealt with?
I mean, pretty special. Obviously, extremely happy for him. Brings a smile to my face to think about that and think about that day, and just how hard he's worked, and obviously we see it day in, day out down there. Especially my first year. I mean, he not only got us into the playoffs, but probably won us that first round series. And, just to see obviously hard work, but success pay off, I think, other guys can look around and kind of pull from that and see, it really does kind of happen. And he probably didn't know if he'd ever get back to the NHL. So for him to go up and obviously back up for numerous games, but to play was pretty special.
Awesome, Chris. And I heard that Corey has some decent comedy chops. Was he one of the funnier guys in the locker room when he was hanging out with you guys, or what?
Yeah, he's quick-witted. He's got good one-liners, and yeah, he's just a really good human being, but he's pretty funny and just a treat to be around.
That's fantastic. And to pivot to another goalie in the Islanders system, you have Jakub Skarek, who recently signed an extension with the Islanders here. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about his game. It looks like he's going to be taking over the starter's role at Bridgeport and probably the first call-up now if and when the New York Islanders need him. So maybe you can just touch on his game a little bit.
Scarek's one of the hardest working goalies around. I think he owns his craft. He loves what he does. Pretty sure they probably got to tell him to leave the rink some days. He works so hard, but yeah, obviously got better within 2 years I was there. He's mobile laterally. He's very good at challenging. I think him and Chris Terreri work really well together with the coaching goalie coach. And again, I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but I think he's pretty young, still a prospect. So. Goalies are, kind of tough to really pinpoint when they'll, make it. But Scary was excellent for us. He won us numerous games, and I think he'll be, a really strong goalie down there this year.
Excellent. And Chris, you're obviously venturing into a new part of your journey, going to Chicago with the Wolves now. When you look at an experience like that coming ahead, I mean, is that something when you discuss with the team, like, hey, you're a veteran, you're a guy who puts up a lot of points in this league. Is that something that kind of comes up in the conversation when you're talking about how, when you're signing these contracts, like this is who we want you to be as part of this franchise or as part of this team? Like, is that part of that discussion?
Yeah, to some extent. I think the team and myself understands, what my strengths are as a player. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice when when you're getting a job to, understand your expectations of yourself and, from the organization. So definitely comes up in topics, but yeah, extremely excited to be joining Chicago this year. It'll be quite I think an opportunity and a new adventure with them not having an NHL affiliation. In my time in the AHL, I've never seen a team have that. So,
right.
Another cool new adventure to experience for the first time.
For sure, and congratulations on that. And before we let you go, I saw on your Twitter bio that you're big into the golf. You have any tips for a triple bogey guy like myself who's trying to find his way in the golf course?
Practice, work on that short game. Saves a lot of strokes.
Yeah, I think that's my downfall. Well, Chris, really appreciate you joining us tonight, man. Awesome stuff, and best of luck in Chicago, and congrats once again on the contract.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it. All right, Chris. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Terry, formerly of the Bridgeport Islanders, and now a Chicago Wolf, I guess we'd say. Wolf? A Chicago Wolf?
Wolf.
Okay, a Wolf. Well, that'll do it for a special edition of Hockey Night in New York. Ed, how you doing? You look like you're sleepy over there. You weren't ready for us, man.
Muted. I didn't expect.
Yeah, no questions tonight. I know.
No
It's
questions.
weird. Just an interview, not a full-blown show. I know.
We
You
didn't
look
set
like you were
up the
taking a
GoPro.
nap over there.
No. I was locked in the interview.
How's Jay doing?
He's. Jay, why don't you talk for once?
He's having a great time.
Why don't you answer
He's
for
having
yourself
a
for once?
ball.
I'm tired of answering for Jay.
Wow. Okay. Jeez. Are you guys getting along okay? Like, is there a little drama over there?
No.
A little drama behind the glass. Thumbs down from Jay.
Maybe.
That's not good.
All right, maybe.
That's not. You guys might have to have a little chat after the show's over.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, that's unfortunate. So Ed, why don't you cue the outro music? Because we're done here.
Yeah, we're done.
That's it. We're finished. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Hockey Night in New York with a great interview from Chris Terry now of the Chicago Wolves. I want to send out a big thanks to our sponsors, starting with Blue Line Deli and Bagels. Check them out at BlueLineDeli.com. Lost Farmer Brewing Company. Check them out at LostFarmerBrewing.com. And, of course, Main Street Board Game Cafe.com for the fellas at Main Street Board Game Cafe. So, Stefan, where can we find you on the internets and all that stuff?
On the World Wide Web?
Yeah.
You can follow
media.
me on Twitter at Stefen_Rosner, Stefen_Rosner, and at the Hockey News and NHL.com.
Wow, the resume just gets longer every time we bring
And
you into
ego.
the studio. Yeah, that we know for sure. You can follow myself at Shawnee Hockey. You can follow the show at Hockey Night NY. We might have some more spot shows like this coming up between now and training camp. We'll see. We'll try to get some more interviews going. Maybe if there's any news in Islanderland, if Lou Lamoriello surprises us with any news.
Before,
maybe. So. I don't know. Everybody thinks he's asleep at the wheel. But in any case, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Remember to check us out at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY, your favorite podcast providers. Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends, spread the word. For Stefan Rosner, for Ed and Jay, my name is Sean Cuthbert. We've been Hockey Night New York. Have yourself a great rest of your night.